miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Good evening, everybody. It's Mark Klein hanging out with you. Welcome to another Long Island Blues Warehouse. Once a week on this stage, we bring you Long Island's finest and New York City players once in a while for good measure. We're talking to a fella tonight that has worked with John Oates, Sam Moore, Sting, Willie DeVille, Elvis Costello, Travis Tritt, The Edge, just to name a few. This week's featured artist on the stage with us right now, Mark Newman.
Up all night, watch TV. The TV preacher, he prays for me. Turn on the news, they're keeping score. Hook body count, some foreign war. Head in my heart, hold me in your arms until it's over. Under the sun where we live and die. Under the sun where our worlds collide. Under the sun ain't no reason why we can live as one. Sometimes I think too much. My ignorance becomes a crutch. She takes my hand, says come and see the Rorschach sunset through the trees. May not hear a sound, trees will fall and hit the ground. Under the sun where we live and die. Under the sun where our worlds collide. Under the sun ain't no reason why we can live as one. In wars, we use it up and then want more. I play my guitar, ease my pain. It gets me through another day. Under the sun where we live and die. Under the sun where our worlds collide. Under the sun ain't no reason why. Under the sun watches the sun goes behind the hill. Button my coat, but still I'm chill. So when you're not there, when I look across the nighttime sky, wonder if you see the same stars tonight up above. I would do anything for your love until the morning comes. And once again you're lying next to me, just have to carry on, because you mean that much to me. I walk through the gates of hell and back, walk through the wild and risk attack, just to see that you're here with me. I search the world at any cost. All those who wander are not lost. When push comes to shove, I would do anything for your love until the morning comes. And once again you're lying next to me, just had to carry on, because you mean that much to me. We're alive and a song coming for you to take you home, beyond and above. I would do anything for your love.
Nicely done, my man.
Thank you.
Nicely done. That's what we call coming out of the gate strong. You want to switch instruments, don't you?
I do.
Go ahead, my man. Let me grab Naomi Margolin for a second while you're doing that. How you doing, Naomi?
I'm doing okay, Mark.
You know I didn't mean literally, right?
Any way you meant it.
Well, I appreciate that. We had you and Mark in here about a year ago on another project with a Long Island singer, Mimi Giuliano.
Yes, we did.
And it's good to see you again. You're starting to develop a little bit of frequent flyer miles with us. We're always happy to say.
It's nice to be here.
You know what? We don't get you in here nearly enough. I think we should talk about trying to get you in here more often.
I think we could talk about that a lot
What are you doing
more.
next week?
I'll be here.
Let's talk about that more.
Go there, I'll go there.
Did we get that cute face? Let's get a close-up of that cute face. Thank you. Okay. Now it doesn't matter what we do the rest of the hour. We're going to come back and chat more with you in a little bit.
Thank you.
Let's head back over to Mark Newman if we can. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing great, thanks.
It's good to see you again, my man. It's good
Same
to see
here.
you again. A strong force in New York City and Long Island, and we're glad to have you in here with your own project. You've got some interesting history, things you've done. Let's start off with when you began musically. Let's talk about the first time you picked up a guitar and decided this was a direction you were going to head into in life. How old were you? What was the influence?
My parents told me not to, so
At what age?
8.
You had an interest in guitar at age 8?
I had an interest in guitar at age 6,
Okay.
but I didn't have a guitar until age 8.
So it took 2 years of you being persistent with the parents.
Yes, and they once they got me the lessons, then it was a matter. Then I had to practice.
Once you had the guitar.
Once I had the guitar, I had to practice lessons, everything.
Once you had the guitar, did you want to practice, or did the novelty wear off when you were at that age? Or?
The novelty was there for the first year, and then it became like I would rather do my homework first.
I thought you were going to say you wanted to be out playing with the friends.
Oh no, I did. But what I'm saying is, I really didn't want to practice because, the Mel Bay is a great system to learn guitar, but I'm listening to things on the radio, and I wanted to play that, and I didn't want to be playing the stuff in the book. So at that point anything. I just wanted to sit in my room and like figure things out and not have to look at the book. But, you know, and if I could get away from the book for an hour by playing with my friends or even doing my homework.
Then that was okay for you. Yeah. Let's talk about when you started growing into the actual passion of playing the instrument. At age 6, you want one. At age 8, you finally get one. At age 8, you don't want to play it anymore.
No, I wanted to play it. I just
you just didn't want to learn.
I didn't want to play what was in the book. That's all.
All right. Now, let's talk about age 10 and 12 and 14. Where are you musically with the guitar at that age?
I figured out I could meet more girls, but I stopped practicing for about a year. I put it down, and then at 14, I picked it up again and started a band with some friends.
At age 14?
My mother of all people, I hope you're listening, Mom. I'm giving you credit. My mother saw an ad in the Massapequa Post. I went to school in that area, and
Sure.
she saw an ad that was put in by some guys from the next school district. She drove me down there to audition.
No kidding.
Yeah, and then I've been playing ever since.
At age 14?
Yeah.
Do you remember the name of your first project?
Unfortunately, yes.
Share it with us, won't you?
Are you sure? It was nothing obscene.
Before you say it, I'm sure we've heard worse.
No, it's not. It's, you know, it was called the Starlights.
Oh, you shouldn't have told us that.
I know. I've lost all credibility.
No, of course you didn't. The Starlights. And what kind of music were you playing back in those days?
Beatles, Stones, Animals.
Very cool.
I'm dating myself. I realize that.
No, not really. A little bit. That's all right. Doesn't make you a bad guy. Let's talk about junior high school days. Where are you musically at this point in time?
Still trying to meet girls, and I'm starting to take more of an interest in practicing. Again, learning what I'm hearing on the radio, and just wanting to go to band practice every other day.
Very cool, man. Very cool. Good start. Good beginning.
And
Good
the greatest part was my father took me to Sam Ash and bought me a brand new Trini Lopez 335, which I still have.
That's the model that BB plays, right?
No, he plays Lucille.
Oh, well, of course. Of course.
His is different. Mine's a weird one. It's got diamond-shaped holes. And
All right. You still have that instrument today?
I certainly do.
Why didn't you bring it?
I'm afraid to take it out of the house. It's actually
I can understand that. It would have been nice to have seen it on the stage here with you tonight.
Next time.
But, all right, fair enough. I'm going to hold you to that. I say we put you back to work. We'll come back and pick up the Mark Newman journey shortly, and let's keep it moving. What are we doing next?
Walls of Jericho? This is a title track from our new CD. It's called Walls of Jericho.
You good to go?
Good to go.
Once again on the Long Island Blues Warehouse, we are going to keep it moving with Mark Newman.
Of your house, gather up your children, gather up your
That's off the new CD.
That is a title track.
Very nice. I'd like to show it a little bit later, but let's see if we can get a quick shot of this Now Spoken. You zoom in on that. Where can people get this CD?
Well, they can go to marknewman.us. They can go on iTunes. Could probably buy it off Reverb Nation. A bunch of places. iTunes are probably the best thing, or my website. CD Baby, if you want a hard copy.
Some great material on there. I know we're covering a lot of it tonight, which I'm excited about. Some great. You're a hell of a songwriter.
Thank you.
Let's talk. I know it's different for everybody. I'd like to talk to you briefly, if we can, about the thought process for you on how creating songs comes about. Are you one of those guys that can say, like on a Monday, we're going to sit down Wednesday or Thursday, a couple of us, and write some songs? Or is it something that happens to you in the car when you wake up, a thought in your head? How does it work for you?
Well, first I called Keith.
Okay.
I'm kidding. He would have said that if I didn't say it first. It depends. With Walls of Jericho, Naomi and I were in Israel on a gig, and we were driving down the east side of Israel, and passed a sign that said Jericho. And with my last name Newman, I can't go to Jericho. It's Palestinian.
Right.
Anyway, that just triggered one thing after another, and I think I wrote the lyrics. Half the lyrics first, wrote the music, and then finished them watching the sun come up. And other things, you start with a guitar riff and hope you come up with some lyrics. So.
All right. It's different for everybody. But it's an interesting concept how a lot of singer-songwriters put lyrics together and start building ideas off thoughts that they get for an influence or an idea for a tune. So I needed to ask. When you were doing the thing in the Middle East, was that with the Mark Newman Project or one of these people that you worked with in the past?
None of those people you mentioned. This was a hired gun for a corporate gig. I was in Amsterdam. The guy said, "Can you come to Tel Aviv and do a gig?" I said, "Get me a hotel room and a flight, and I'm there."
And you're there.
Yep.
Very good timing for that, for you to be available, to be able to stop what you're doing, and
right.
and head over and do that. I want to talk about some of these things you've done. Let's touch on some of these highlights. John Oates. Let's talk about how you got involved in working with John Oates.
John, I was out doing a gig in Aspen, Colorado, where John lives, and I shouldn't say that publicly, actually. But
You're not giving us his address.
I know. Anyway.
I'm going to ask that later.
I was just going to say his address is anyway. I was doing a gig with some old bandmates out there. I had a band in the '90s called Dow Jones, and the drummer is now playing. A guy named John Michelle is playing with John Oates. I was doing a gig with John and John Michelle, and John Oates was there. He heard me play, and then a lot of time went by. 2 years went by, and he called me on my birthday last year, and asked me if I wanted to do some gigs with him.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Talk about good timing.
Yep. Good birthday present.
Being at the right place at the right time. Very cool. Of Sam and Moore, of Sam and Dave, Mr. Sam Moore.
Sam Moore, I was jamming at the Triad Bar. We had a room downstairs called the Dark Star. Everybody in town was going there every Monday. And I was jamming with his bass player, who's the MD, Ivan Bodley. And again, some time went by, and the other guy, the guitar player they had, quit, and I went into sub, and then I had the gig after that.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Another great timing issue, huh?
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, Sam played at a big inaugural ball that you were a part of.
Right. In 2008, we played at the Creative Coalition.
That's the one.
Inaugural ball with Sam, and Sting and Elvis Costello sat in with us. It was great. We got to back up Sting on like 5 songs. Naomi was there. And we got to work with Sting and Elvis Costello as well as Sam.
Now, let's be honest. That's why you got all these great gigs, because you had Naomi there with you.
That's it. Yeah, I think Sting was hitting on her all night. I don't know.
Makes sense. It's putting all the pieces to the puzzle together. Now we're starting to get it.
And Brenda Russell was there also. She sat in and sang backup with us.
Real?
Yeah.
You got pictures of this?
Yes.
You got video?
Yes. They just go to Sam Moore, 2008. I might get fired now. Creative Coalition inaugural ball, and I'm like tucked way in the back playing a blue guitar. Naomi's up front, standing next to Sting.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Very cool. I can believe it. I mean, look at that beautiful smile. You know, matter of fact, great album you just showed me. We just gave a nice visual too. I got an idea for your next CD cover, by the way.
I can't wait.
Naomi's face. Maybe you guys clear out of the way and duck down off to the side. And what do you think? That'll be my record. It's food for thought.
I don't know, Naomi. What do you think?
Food for thought.
Could be my next album cover.
Maybe that's the food for thought. We'll come back and talk more about that later. Let's jump into another tune. Let's come back and talk to some of these other fine players on this stage. What are we doing next?
Fire on the Water.
You good to go? Good to go. This week's featured artist, here we go. Mark Newman.
Oil everywhere, enough to heat the world nation. Flowing freely from the ground, killing off marine population. Tell me, will it reach the beach? It's for my Florida vacation. Everyone's a sign of blame, while the problem is an escalation. And there's no backup plan in existing regulation. Don't play with fire on the water if you can't control the situation. All heads of state are all in bed. All heads of state left some men dead. While the officers strive, they're never satisfied till they drill halfway to hell. Water is a source of life. All other sources fuel lubrication. Take their windfall profits out, find another way to power the nation. Don't play with fire on the water if you can't control the situation. Yeah, BPX on Mold Shell and all the other running corporations. Don't play with fire on the water. Leave seeds for future generations.
Oh, yeah. This week's featured artist, Mark Newman. Nicely done, as always, my man. Nicely done.
Thank you.
Let's grab Keith Lenton, if we can, for a second on the bass. How you doing, Keith?
Good, man. Nice to meet you,
It's
Mark.
good to see you again. You and I were discussing earlier off air how
Yes.
we look familiar to one another.
Yes.
Have you figured it out yet? Where we did or didn't
Yes,
meet?
I just don't want to tell anybody.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Another story for another time, it sounds like. It's good to see you, my man. You look you got one of those faces, too. We've definitely run into each other somewhere
No,
in the music circuit.
I'm pretty sure of it.
Whether
yeah.
it be in the city or somewhere here on the island. But
Yeah.
it's good to see you again.
Likewise.
And let's jump into some history with you. Let's talk about when you began holding down the bottom end as well as you do. Did you start as a young guy?
Oh my God, yeah. I'm about like 11 years old.
What made you decide this was a direction you were going to head into in life?
I saw a cowboy movie and Gene Autry was on a guitar with a guitar, and I thought, he was on a horse with a guitar.
Good
And
story.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Good story. Tell it again.
You really want me to tell it again?
Seriously, is that how you? That was an initial influence for you to?
Yeah, and then I went away on a weekend with my parents, and there was a kid next door who had a guitar, and I was just fascinated with the thing. But I've got a picture, and I am dressed up as a cowboy.
At what age now? 2 weeks ago.
Who said that? Was that Newman?
Good ventriloquist out there.
No, it was. Oh boy, I would say about 7 or 8.
Okay. So you're
Something
taking
like
lessons at this age?
No. I just had it, and it took me about 2 years to realize you had to tune it.
I see.
But,
So 2 years of just looking cool in front of the mirror type
well,
of thing?
I would play a tune on a single string, up and down the single string.
Okay. And when did you start getting serious with it and grow into a passion?
I would say 9 or 10, something like that.
Taking lessons at this point
Yeah.
and starting to get serious
Yeah.
with it? Do you remember your first project? Your first band you were ever in?
Yes, I was at Cub Scouts, and somebody told me that the kid over there has a set of drums. And I walked up and I said, "You must be a spoiled brat if you had a set of drums." So he said, "Come over and see them," and that's Anton Fig, the Letterman drummer.
No kidding.
Yeah, that was when. So I went to his house. I was very impressed that he could do a roll and crash a cymbal afterwards.
And you called him a spoiled brat at that age?
Well, it didn't. It wasn't totally serious, but.
That's why you're not on the Letterman show, is right.
Probably. He harbors it to this day.
So, were you doing anything with him musically back then?
Yeah. He, I went to his house and we played around, and he said, "I got a band and we're playing in a talent show on Saturday. Do you want to play with us?" And I did. And
No kidding.
Yeah. Went along and played, and we won. And the first prize was a Monopoly set.
A Monopoly set.
Yeah.
The American version?
No. Come on.
What do I? Hey, there's so many
There's
versions.
no Park Lane over here.
All right. Got it. How long did you work with Anton?
Still do,
You still do today?
Yeah.
Jams and things in the city?
Yeah, I'm going to his house tomorrow morning to help him mix a song.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So Will Lee won't be there, I'm guessing.
No, I hope not.
I hope not, too. Very cool. So you guys have been friends all these years.
Yeah.
That's a great beginning for you, my man. Let's talk about some other things you've done before you were working with Mark Newman.
There was nothing before Newman.
Nothing before Newman. The politically correct answer.
No, I mean, I was in many bands. We had a band in the 80s called Spider.
Spider, sure, I recall the band.
Me and Fig and a songwriter named Holly Knight, who became quite a well-known songwriter after. She wrote like Simply the Best and Love is a Battlefield.
That Pat Benatar, of course, made famous later.
Tons of songs. So, and we had that band for quite a few years, and when that ended, I guess I went on the gigging circuit, but all the time I was producing as well. And I think I'm probably leaving about 20 years out, but I'm having a hard time to remember.
That's all right.
No, many local New York gigs, and leading all the way up to becoming friends with Mark.
He produced your first album.
Well, we co-produced it. He listened to me occasionally.
Musicians will do that from time to time. Very cool, my man. Very cool. How long have you been working with Mark now?
God, I don't even know it. It's quite a few years. I mean, it's over 10 years.
At least a decade now.
In various, I used to sub in Dow Jones when Tony couldn't make it.
Okay. Very cool. Great beginning for you, my man. Great beginning.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're leaving a ton of things out, but
I probably am, but
well, I'll tell you what. If something grabs you, another highlight for you as we're going.
oh yeah, and me and Fig have a band with Blondie Chaplin. You know him?
I know the name.
Yeah, and that's a fun project, and I produce that as well.
Very cool. And you perform in it as well?
Yeah, it's just a trio, but it's a lot of fun.
You got a lot of hats, it sounds like, with probably a few headaches that go with it, if I had to take a
Yeah,
guess.
the headaches are getting less.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. I wasn't referring to you, Mark. I wasn't referring to you. Headaches with other music projects, not this one.
No.
This is a smooth sailing project all the way through and through.
Totally.
I can understand that. You're dealing with pros here. So I can appreciate that. Keith, you're a great addition to this project, and anything else
Thank
you
you so
touch
much.
musically, I can only imagine. I look forward to seeing a lot more of you
Thanks,
with this
Mark.
project and other things to come. So keep
Great.
going strong, my man.
Okay,
Keith
man.
Lenton on the bass. We thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mark, let's jump into another one. We'll come back and talk to some of these other fine players. What are we doing next?
We're actually doing a ballad.
Really?
Yes.
I'm looking forward to it. What's it titled?
I was going to make a very bad joke. It's called Taking Pictures.
Is it a PG joke?
No.
All right. Another story for another time. Well, while you're thinking about how you're going to start the intro on this, I'm going to look in this direction and say this. Long Island Blues Warehouse, we are going to keep it moving with Mark Newman.
Watch my newborn son come to this world crying. I took his picture. There were no words I could say. That's a day you won't remember. I could show him someday. I'm taking pictures to preserve my memories. You can't get the moment back once it's gone. Toughest man I knew never knew that he was dying. I took his picture while he was still looking strong. It's gone. Taking pictures, trying to preserve my memories. You can't get the moment back once it's gone.
Nicely done. This week's featured artist, Mark Newman. Beautiful song, my man. Beautiful song.
Thank you, Mark.
Now, a song like that, were you able to write that in a short period of time? You've been working that song for years?
wrote the music first. I had different lyrics, and I hated them.
Okay.
And that was one of those nights where I had to finish the vocal because I was on a deadline, and I was just laying on the floor writing lyrics. Naomi happened to walk in, looked over my shoulder. Oh yeah, that's like, and she finished the last verse.
No kidding.
So we co-wrote that one.
Well, matter of fact, I want to grab Jan on the keys if he'll come up to this. But while he is, Mark, let me continue with you. You ever take a song that you're working on, get to a point with it, put it on the shelf for a period of time, come back to it later, and
Yep.
okay, is that a common practice for you?
No, not a common practice, but it has happened.
Okay, very cool, my man. I'll tell you, a hell of a talent, my man. Hell of a talent. Look forward to seeing what we jump into next. Let's go ahead and talk to Jan if we can for a second on the keys. I'm going to do it. The last name Care, Jan Care.
Oh, beautiful, Mark.
Did I do it?
I'm very impressed.
I'm never going to get it right again. You know that.
You're very, very close.
Well, it's good to see you, my man. It's
Nice
good
to
see
see
you.
you.
I love what you're all about as far as the keys are concerned. Let's talk about the history. Let's talk about when you began. Were you a young guy yourself?
I remember playing piano when I was around 7, but my mother's very convinced that I was crawling on the piano when I was around 3 or 4.
Okay.
So that's my guess, sort of like in between 3 and 7.
In that ballpark.
Yeah.
All right, from what you can recall.
Yeah.
Classically trained? Did you mess around classically at all in the beginning?
Yeah, that's pretty much how I started out, and I actually ended up going to the conservatory in Denmark, the Royal Conservatory over there.
Sure.
Yeah, and but I wasn't quite cut out for that. It was too much sitting and practicing Beethoven and Mozart, and I was interested in writing and playing more like rhythmic music, you know, and I couldn't quite combine it at that point. So I said goodbye to Beethoven and welcome to Deep Purple.
Welcome to Deep Purple. Little smoke on the water.
Yeah, right?
Very cool, very cool. Let's talk about some projects before Mark Newman. Let's talk about what you were doing junior high, high school days musically. Were you involved in school projects and garage bands and things of this nature?
I just don't remember much from those years, but no, I was I was always involved with the band. I saw this picture of Keith in a cowboy suit and a guitar, and I decided I wanted to pursue something like that. But I actually started playing in a band when I was around 12, 13 years old. We were doing.
How do you know? Do you remember? Or is this what you were told?
Hold on, let me ask Keith. I remember. This is actually pretty cool. I was playing all this classical music. I was taking piano lessons, and I'm from a farm over there. You take a blacktop to the dusty road, and you end up in some field, and that's my dad's farm right there. So I would go to piano lesson with one of my friends that lived down the road, and we'd bike into this place and take our lesson. And one time we came back to our house, and he sat down. I'm just gonna have to do this quick.
I want to know what part of the. Okay.
So he's yeah, right, and I'm still practicing that. But he started playing that without the music, and I was like, "Where's that?" And he said, "Oh, his dad was a folk musician. He didn't know how to read music, so he had taught his son to play from the ear." And I that's when I really started like saying, "There's something else than classical music," and I started writing. And I had a friend that was a drummer, and he wasn't Anton Fig, but he was very good as well. His name was Esben Bach.
Okay.
And we started the band sort of like 12, 13 years old. We were doing like our weird version of like fusion instrumental music, So that's what we were doing. And we had a rehearsal space over a chicken house, and I still remember the stench of ammonia. Is that how you say that? Like the chickens. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm really happy when we
How
get
did
to practice in a room that doesn't smell of ammonia. That's still a high point of my career.
How did that motion go again?
I forgot already. My short-term memory is not so good. But they were down here, and it was sort of like simmer up through the floor, and we were playing, music, and it stank horribly. So every time I go to a rehearsal room, everybody says, "Oh, New York is so bad with rehearsal rooms." You walk into the music building, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's so terrible here." I said, "You have no idea. This is great. It doesn't smell of chicken."
I appreciate the visual you're giving us with the hands.
I hope so.
As you articulate the story. Let's talk about what part of the world this infamous farm was in, by the way.
It was in Denmark, or it still is in
Okay.
Denmark. Yeah.
It's still in the family now? The family still?
Yeah. My dad retired, but he's still on the farm.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And does he do this too with the chickens? This thing
He taught me that movement, and also this movement, like digging in the fields.
I was going to say that's picking up horse droppings.
Well,
With-
it's open to interpretation. I would say like that, like most music is.
Fair
but
enough.
But he's over there.
Let's talk about some music for a second, if we can. Like instead of chickens, let's jump into the Mark Newman project, for example. Before you walk away. No, we're not ready to play another song. I want to know how long you've been working with Mark Newman.
I want to hear about Keith missing the missing 20 years. Like, why don't we bring him back?
That's going to be another episode.
Well, what day is it today? Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday. I met Mark yesterday.
You wouldn't have known that. You would have guessed at least a week.
My life changed yesterday. I met Newman, and Keith.
You can say their names correctly at least.
I'm trying.
I'm still working on yours.
Try. Yeah. Well, you're doing a great job, Mark. I really, yeah.
You're doing a great job, and we appreciate what you're all about. Jan Care on the keys. Keep going strong, my man. I appreciate
Thank
seeing
you,
you.
Mark.
Great dynamic to this project. Great dynamic. Let's jump into another tune. We still have a few players we need to talk to.
Okay.
What are we going to do next, Mark Newman?
We're going to do an old song by Procol Harum.
You're doing a cover?
One cover.
No kidding.
Because we're going to probably be recording this.
You good to go?
We're good to go.
Once again on the Long Island Blues Warehouse, we're going to keep it moving with Mark Newman.
Ain't gonna ride that whiskey train. Ain't gonna burn up no more flame.
This week's featured artist, Mark Newman. Nicely done, Mark. As always, my man. Let's talk to Naomi Margolin for a second, if we can, again. Hello again, Naomi.
Hi, Mark.
What's exciting and new since we last chatted, you and me?
I don't even know where to begin. I mean, this right?
This is incredible.
It's pretty right on.
This is incredible. And you are a tremendous contribution to this project.
Well, thank you for noticing that.
Let's talk about when you began musically. Were you a young child yourself?
Yeah, I was small. I was young.
You started singing, I'm guessing.
I started singing.
Recitals and around the house and.
The oldest memory I can remember was kindergarten, when my teacher had me going classroom to classroom singing "Shine on Harvest Moon."
Shine on Harvest Moon. Really?
Yeah.
Can you share that with us tonight?
No.
I knew you were going to say that. Oh, that would have been cute to have heard. Let's talk about you have your own project going. You're a songwriter yourself.
I am. And
You do a couple of the singer-songwriter shows around the New York, Long Island area too, don't you?
yeah, Mark and I host. We've been running one for about 4 years now. Music from the Hive that we do.
Is that in the city or Long Island?
It's in Long Island.
Morels, Westbury?
We were doing it in Morels for a bunch of years. We just moved it to Oyster Bay,
What venue?
the Homestead.
Okay.
And it's the second Monday of the month.
The second Monday of every month, you and Mark host this thing.
Yeah, and that's really I've been performing and singing and playing and doing stuff my whole life, and I was never really gravitated at all to songwriting. And we started doing this about 4 years ago, and I don't want to say like I saw all these songwriters and said, "Hey, I could do that," but after seeing so many people go through, I was like, at least why not give it a try?
Very cool, very cool. You make a great addition to this project. I look forward to seeing you do your own thing as well as more to come with the Mark Newman Band.
Next week, right?
I hope so. I hope so.
We have it on tape.
We don't even have a band in here, but I'm expecting to see you. So
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it. Naomi Margolin, great addition, kiddo.
Thanks.
Great addition. I appreciate seeing you be a great dynamic to this thing. Let's grab Sean Murray, if we can, on the drum kit, if he'll pull that mic around. How you doing, Sean Murray?
I'm doing great.
First thing I want to talk about with you is you've done some interesting things. Forget about the fact that you worked with John Bon Jovi, Peter Wolf from Jay Giles, Mick Taylor. You worked with John Paris in New York City.
I've worked with him, just last night.
Just
actually,
last night, you
with
jammed
Mark.
with him at his thing at BB King's.
Yes, I did.
The biggest thing that I'm intrigued over is you've worked from time to time with a very good friend of mine we lost about 5 years ago, Little Buster and the Soul Brothers. Little Buster.
Oh, it was an awesome experience working with him.
Now, one of my close friends, Frank, played drums with him for about 15 years, and then you got Chris Candida, of course. Those were his two main guys.
Mm-hmm.
When did you work with Buster?
It had to be like around 87, 88, the late 80s.
Okay,
Yeah.
just some sub-fill-in work from time to time.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about when you began behind the kid. Were you a young guy yourself when you got started?
Oh, yeah, I was just a young lad, I guess around first grade.
First grade.
First grade,
What
yeah.
made you decide this is something you wanted to do?
My brother was a musician, and I was influenced by him. He played guitar.
Okay.
And my cousin played the drums. He was a couple of years older than me, and just from seeing the Beatles on TV, I was influenced by
Ed Sullivan and stuff like that.
Exactly, yeah.
Very cool, my man. Very cool. Let's talk about let's talk about John Bon Jovi. How'd you get involved in working with John?
Well, we did John Bon Jovi's wedding when I was with Mink DeVille.
No kidding.
It was the Willie DeVille band,
Sure.
and he is a big fan of Willie and the Mink DeVille band, of course, and so he wanted us to be his rock band because he had 2 rooms at the South Street Seaport.
Sure.
So he had a 40-piece orchestra, and then he had us to do a show, and then he came up on, up on the stage with us and did 2 songs, Midnight Hour and Mustang Sally.
Okay.
And also we did a show with him in Paris, which was around 93, and he brought us, the Willie DeVille band, on, and then Willie performed with him also.
Very cool, my man. There's so much you've done over the years. Some great highlights. One more I want to touch on real quick. Peter Wolf from Jay Giles. How'd you get involved in working with him?
We had a Mink DeVille reunion
Okay.
2 years ago, and Peter Wolf came in and did a tune with us, Steady Driving Man. And Mark was on that gig also. It was just an amazing gig. Ron Delsner was at the gig also, and was the guy from television was also I don't know if you. Richard Lloyd also did a tune on that show.
Ron Delsner, who like owns like Jones Beach Theater.
Exactly.
Ron?
Yeah, he's also a big fan of the band.
Very cool, man. Very cool. You got a hell of a history, and there's so much more I'd like to discuss with you. We're running a little bit tight on time, so we're going to have to. Another good reason to bring you people back for a sequel, Mark, I got to say. But you got a hell of a lineup. You're a tremendous artist in your own right, and
Thank you.
just another great contribution to the Blues Warehouse. So I thank you so much for that. We got time for 2 more. Let's jump into another song.
Okay.
We'll do our goodbyes, and then you boys and girls will play us out. What are we doing next?
This is the title track from my first CD. It's called Must Be a Pony.
You good to go?
I'm good to go.
Long Island Blues Warehouse, we must keep it going with Mark Newman.
Ever look in the eye of a child when they get it? You can see the glow and you never forget it. Once I made a mistake, looking in too deep. So what I wasn't looking for
Yeah, this week's featured artist, Mark Newman. Nicely done, my man, as always. Nicely done. We need to thank, right here on rhythm, guitar, and vocals, Naomi Margolin. Naomi, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Look forward to seeing you next week, and the
Next
week after
week.
that, and the week after that, and so on and so forth.
Bringing it in, baby.
On the drum kit back there, we need to thank Mr. Sean Murray. Thank you so much, Sean. On the bass, we need to thank Mr. Keith Lenton. Thank you so much, Keith. On the, where am I here? The keys, Mr. Jan Kerr. Thank you so much, Jan. Had a blast. Good story, the whole farm thing. Appreciate it. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Mark Newman, lead guitar and vocals. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thanks for having us.
Mark, please share with us the website so people can follow Mark Newman.
Okay, my website is Mark Newman, spelled MarkNewman.us.
Well, we appreciate it. Mark Newman, this week's featured artist. You're going to play us out. What are we finishing up with?
We're going to do a song that was written about the Underground Railway, and it's called Going Underground.
Before you get into it, I just need to say one quick thing. We want to thank you for all tuning in, checking out the big show at EKO Studios. For further info, please go to ekoproductions.com. They are the official studio of the Long Island Blues Warehouse. For the Blues Warehouse, I'm Mark Klein at liblues.com, and we thank you all for tuning in. One more time, please say goodbye to Mark Newman. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Wherever darkness curse the light, gonna leave here late tonight. Hush out, baby, don't you make a sound. Tell my friends that I'm going underground. I'm going underground. I'm going underground. I'm going underground. There's an old farmhouse you used to know, been abandoned since the last snow. Maybe they left a little food around. Said I'm going underground. I'm going underground. I'm going underground. I'm going underground. Yeah. Be my friend, stay with me until the bitter end. Move to the shadows so we can't be found. I'm going underground. I'm going underground.